Hey viewers, this is me, Media Jeff Nod here, and today I am going to be discussing a very few things about daylight saving time, because now it is March, and every year many countries decide to take their clocks forward an hour in the spring and to turn them back 1 hour in the autumn. Here is currently a map showing you all the countries that are currently doing daylight saving time in 2014. This is a map that could very change depending on what time it is, so please don't use this as an actual guide to daylight saving time, as many countries are either repealing it or enforcing it. It's very complicated, which I will discuss later on. But now I'm going to be discussing the history of daylight saving time and why this is even implemented in the first place. So to find out the history of daylight saving time, we have to go back a very long time. All the way back to the ancient Romans, in fact, which use unequal hours. Now, I know this is not daylight saving time in its earliest sense, but this was an example where daylight hours were actually longer in the summer than in the winter. This continued for many years until they abolished this unequal hours thing, and now resulted in equal hours. Unequal hours still exist though in our world in two main settings. The first main setting is in all Jewish ceremonies, and the second setting is in Mount Athos, which I may describe in more detail in another video, but that will have to be done for another time. So going further through time, we arrive at 1895. Queen Victoria was still on the throne of the United Kingdom, and motor cars were still limited to 4 miles per hour. But in New Zealand, something was happening that could change the whole world forever. A person named George Vernon Hudson decided that in 1895 he wanted to make a stand for daylight saving time. Now how this came about was he had a shift job, and part of his shift job meant that during the afternoon, early evening, he did not work. This meant that George Hudson wanted to actually make more insects for his insect collection, so he collected insects and added them to his collection. And since he was a little bit upset that the daylight ended early, he presented his idea to Christchurch in New Zealand, and yes, he proposed a 2-hour daylight saving time shift, which, although wasn't accepted, lay foundations to many other countries' daylight saving time policies. So it took many years before the first country to actually use this, Germany, tried out daylight saving time in 1916, and other countries followed suit. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, which were allies with Germany at the time, started to do the same thing, as well as other neutral and opposition European countries, including Great Britain, which decided to do daylight saving time in 1916 during the May. But for the Americans, it took until 1918 for daylight saving time to even become effective. Since then, the world has experienced many enhancements and repeals of daylight saving time, and there's always a debate twice a year: is it actually worth it to change our clocks forwards and backwards twice a year? And on the argument of pro-daylight saving time, there is the argument that daylight saving time saves energy. An example being that when you put the clocks forward, the air conditioning systems take effect later, and the electricity systems take effect later. So eventually you'll be using less energy during daylight hours, which means that you're saving energy. Also on that side were the Germans in 1916. Now, rather than collecting bugs on a summer day, they thought that actually daylight saving time could actually save energy. Now, this is because they needed coal, and they thought that daylight saving time could save energy because coal production could decrease, and so it wouldn't need as much coal to fuel the war effort, and so actually it would save energy. However, saying about the saving energy part, there is also an anti-daylight saving time movement, because while some people say that daylight saving time saves energy, others say it can cost energy. An example being in the desert, when you need more energy during the daytime to power air conditioners, these actually cost more energy, and turning one air conditioner on is like turning on 10 light bulbs, or like an entire house. So that means that daylight time could theoretically cost more energy, not save it, and so there'll be no point switching our clocks forward and backwards. But this saving and costing energy business isn't really much of a big ordeal, because the actual percentage of the countries that energy could be saved is not a lot. It's not 50%, it's not 10%, but it's less than 1% saved or lost or gained. 1% isn't really a big deal for countries. It's like if everyone saved energy, it might be only worth £2. And £2 isn't really going to give you enough time and enough things to spend it on. So now we come to a very philosophical question. Is it actually worth it to switch our clocks forward in the spring and back in the autumn? Well, our bodies don't like it. Already, sleep deprivation is a massive problem amongst Westerners, and daylight saving time makes this worse, because in the spring, when you go forward, you lose an hour's sleep. But saying that in the autumn, when the clocks go back, you actually gain an hour's sleep. But however, sleep deprivation is a massive problem, and so many people do not like daylight saving time. Also, it can cause health benefits and risks. Health benefits include skin. Now, when you're exposed to the sun, vitamin D goes to your skin, and this vitamin D can help strengthen your bones, which I may explain in another video. So actually, daylight saving time can actually make the population stronger. However, there is also the risk that heart attacks can be more common. A Swedish study found that daylight saving time can actually increase heart attacks for the first 3 weeks after the switch, with a massive drop after the autumn switch. So health reasons are a big problem as well. That is why Kazakhstan stopped trying to use daylight saving time in 2005, and this has now led to some very, very late sunsets and sunrises. And that nears the end of this video, but finally I want you to discuss something about daylight saving time that can be very complicated and complicating for countries, because although the whole country does officially do daylight saving time, many parts of the country do not, and it can even get even more complicated, as in Australia they had different rules for when daylight saving time would start and end. Only until recently they did that. Now the whole country does the same daylight saving time. But I mean, in the United States, the whole 50 states do daylight saving time, except Arizona and Hawaii. In Hawaii's case, it's because it's very low to the equator, and so the amount of seasonal fluctuation is very low. But in Arizona's case, it's because of the energy costing thing, the air conditioners. And many countries change their rules at the last minute. A recent example being in October 2013, when Libya decided that it would actually not change the clock back in the winter, despite a couple of days ago saying that it would. This led to many computers saying the wrong time, and the whole country had a big problem because it was an hour ahead of itself. It was supposed to have been on +1 hour, when instead it was on +2 hours. This only changed like a few days before Libya was supposed to go back to normal time. And so daylight saving time can be very complicated, but also very helpful and very benefiting for some people. So there's the big discussion. Is daylight saving time worth it? Well, the answer is, depends where you live, and it depends if you enjoy daylight saving time or not. But one thing we can agree on, right? It sure makes timekeeping a lot more complicated than if you didn't have daylight saving time. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not leave a like and a favourite? And if you've got any suggestions for future videos, why not put them in the comments below, or put them on Facebook and Twitter, links will be in the description below. And all sources used in this video are also linked. And share this video if you want everyone else to see about daylight saving time. And I'm me, DST, and I'm out.